cell Hyundai Tucson with Miles. And Miles, tell me a little bit about the car now. I mean, it's driving like a normal car. It's very smooth. It's quiet.
Right, so we just handed over the first set of keys to our first customer globally, so that was a pretty big deal. And now we're riding in this car, and it's essentially an electric vehicle. And the only difference is that the electricity is made from hydrogen. It's not coming from a battery pack like a typical electric vehicle. So the hydrogen is actually stored on board in some tanks and under pressure, and is going through a process where it's actually making electricity to drive the electric motor. So you're right, Michelle, absolutely quiet. It's silent because it's an electric vehicle, and you're never going to hear, like in a hybrid or anything else, a gas engine kick on or anything like that, because you're just essentially driving an electric vehicle that runs off of hydrogen.
So since it's electric, but there's tanks with high pressure hydrogen, but are there batteries?
There is one small battery, but they have batteries that are storing some electricity, but most of the electricity is made on board and going right into the engine, right, into the electric motor, because it's essentially an electric vehicle. And that's the difference, whereas an electric vehicle has a big battery pack that's stored in the floorboard or in the trunk, takes up a huge amount of space. This is essentially only using a small battery. And hydrogen is making electricity on board. It's using a process, they call it the hydrogen stack, that is sending the gas through a membrane, separating protons and neutrons and all that kind of fun science stuff. And I'm not your guy for that. But ultimately, what is that doing? It's producing electricity.
And the fuel cells are in the back.
The stacks.
So
one of the things that this is our third generation fuel cell vehicle. We had a Santa Fe, and then we had a Tucson before this. So it used to be that the tank and everything was taking up the storage compartment in the back. So one of the breakthroughs on this vehicle is that all the components, the stack and the tanks, to make it work, are all stored underneath in the back, underneath the floorboard there, and then underneath the hood. So that was one of the breakthroughs of this particular third generation vehicle, is that all your storage and everything has been returned, because all the components are stored either underneath the hood or underneath the rear hatch floor. The rear hatch floor comes up a little bit for the tank, and we can pull the cover up later, and I can show you the actual tank in the back. Well, that's one of the things that Hyundai is doing to entice people. They certainly know that hydrogen fueling stations are not readily available yet, but the infrastructure is growing. So one of the incentives that they put on this vehicle to get some early adopters to try it out was the hydrogen is free as part of the 3-year, 36,000 mile lease. So essentially, we know it's 12,000 miles a year. We kind of know how much hydrogen they're going to use. So we factored that, did the math, and said, okay, let's just use that as another incentive to get early adopters on board.
And 12,000 miles is quite generous for a lease, especially when you're getting free fuel.
Right.
What's the range on per fuel?
It's around 260 miles, which is very good. Most people start feeling range anxiety around 90 miles, so it's a pretty good range. I think the Tesla Model S and some of those vehicles are in that range now, so Tesla had a breakthrough with that. Certainly a vehicle like this puts you well above the 250 mile range, so in terms of commuting and being able to make a spontaneous trip or do something like that. You're not limited. Whereas a 90-mile range, something changes in your day, you're going to have a significant amount of range anxiety because you can't change your plans like that, or you're going to have to start looking at your next stop, being able to get some incremental charge to make it home. That's pretty significant.
Now, is there, on the center stack, is there any way to see like how your range, or is it just everything's pretty much normal like the normal Tucson?
I think you can flip through, and I'd have to get out and play there, but I think it will tell you with some gauges there how much is available.
Just talk about how we're driving, because we already saw it. We already talked to Dave Zukowski. We already saw them hand the keys over, and now we're test driving it with product specialist Miles Johnson.
That's fine. Sounds good.
You can make up your own title.
Vice President of Product Specialists.
Well, Vice President of Awesome.
There you go.
I always wanted to eat at.